hijo de puta, está en subidita.
Güey, no se vale empujar al agua.
No, hombre, sí, te va a empujar.
No, güey.
Sí, güey.
No, güey.
Sí, te vas a caer, acá.
No, güey, no.
No pasa nada.
No, güey, ya.
Está sucio, está sucio.
No, güey. ¡Ya, güey! Pinche pendejo, güey, ya. Pinche vato, güey, ya nada, güey. Pinche vato, ya, güey. ¡Guardia!
¡Orden, emperador!
¡Al río, güey!
No, al río no.
¡Sí, güey!
Al río no.
¡Al de la cámara también!
¡No, pero! ¡No!
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. My goodness, we have so much to go over today. First of all, Bitcoin. We talked about this 2 days ago. I talked about this very significant support right here. And if I actually zoom in, guys, you can see we did, in fact, have a bounce directly off that level. So the bulls did step in. They tried to keep the price afloat. And ultimately here, although we did say that originally this kind of looked like it was, a bit of a bear flag, what ended up actually happening was we started putting in this downward sloping trend right here, and you could see it actually started forming a bit of an asymmetrical triangle with a little bit of a bear trap right here. Now, currently, we are getting to the end of this, and I do expect some kind of major move within the next day. However, here's the catch. We are entering the weekend, and we know that weekend price action goes all over the place, and by Monday, it tends to come right back to where it is. But there is something we have to talk about. In fact, there are many things we need to talk about. You need to stick around to the end of today's video. I have a jam-packed video today. Number one thing I want to talk about is the Bitcoin historical death cross. A lot of people were asking about this. Now, there is one particularly on the exponential moving averages, and we do have some history of this. And what I want to discuss is what could potentially happen based on previous cycles. But wait, I hear you. Maybe this time it's different. Maybe we can't look at previous cycles. Well, in that case, what I also want to discuss is the fact that there is a possibility of a looming recession. We've never seen Bitcoin react in a true recession. Now, if we do see traditional stocks like the S&P, the Dow Jones, right? If they end up falling 80%, 90%, what does that mean for Bitcoin? Well, there's actually a world famous economist who has absolutely smashed it, like called it a lot of times, like absolutely killed his predictions, and he is actually calling for some insane price action for Bitcoin. But you're going to want to stick around for this because you might be surprised what he has to say about Bitcoin. It does actually seem quite promising. Also, we need to talk about why altcoins could be in a bit of a pickle right now as Bitcoin dominance does continue to rise. And we also have something going on in the background with securities. And I also want to I know a lot of things to go over today. Guys. We're going to get to the video, but I also want to talk about why the next decade could potentially be the great race to accumulate Bitcoin. And by the way, for everybody that's selling right now, we have more proof that if you're panic selling, you are in fact selling to the institution. So if you made it through the whole intro, thank you. But we have so much to go over today. Stick around to the end. I love you guys. You're awesome. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And let's get straight into the chart. So you can see right here, guys, you see we did have that bounce. We wicked a little bit below my level, but we have closed, we haven't officially closed yet on the weekly, but I mean, we will be closing soon. So hopefully we can close above that level, sitting at around $28,900. Now, currently I am expecting a very volatile move for Bitcoin as we end this pattern right here. And you can see that we only have about 1 day left. Now, the weekend is fast approaching, so it is going to be quite interesting. Actually, the weekend is technically here, right? But we do have to keep our eyes, of course, on what is happening traditionally, because if we have a look again, what is going on with stocks, they're putting in a red day. And we know, unfortunately, that Bitcoin and stocks have been extremely correlated lately. Now, we have still held this legacy support and this upward trend, which is very good. However, we did lose two of the major supports, these right here. So it does look quite dire for Bitcoin, right? Now, something interesting, though, to point out is that, and we had actually said that this was a possibility. I actually called this. I said every time the DXY gets above this 100 level, you can see right here, it was resistance, right here, we got above it, boom, smack down, right? Same thing, fake out to this level, boom, fall down, right? We fall down both times. And again, even though we did technically get above the level, you can see if we actually just go sideways like this, you could see that we actually are below the resistance for the dollar, depending on how you put it. And I don't know, did you guys see what I did there? Let me just actually put this horizontal right like that. There you go. So see that purple line? We are in fact sitting below it. So is the dollar going to look like it wants to potentially have that breakdown, revisiting back to 100 or even lower? That is a possibility. If that does happen short term, then you are going to see Bitcoin rally, right? Now, once again, just to recap, the main levels to pay attention to, down here, 200 weekly sitting at around 21,800. And the 600 daily sitting around 40,900. So anywhere in between these levels right here, you can see anywhere we're in between these two bands, okay? And keep in mind, we can see a deeper correction, but these are the accumulation areas. So dollar cost averaging is the way to go. Now, obviously, you know, you can look to trade this on the short term. You can look to trade this breakout or breakdown. If you do want to learn how to do that, check out the tutorial popping up above. There's over $16,000 in bonuses below. You can just sign up. You know, you can sign up with multiple emails if you want. Doesn't even matter. And then just do the deposit, and then you can get that literally free. You can't pull it off, but you can trade with it. So it's 7,000 on Prime XBT, 4,000 on Femex, and Femex actually has something going on right now on top of that. So I think it's like another $4,000. So just take advantage of that in these bear markets, guys. It's literally free money. You can play with it. You can trade with it. And if you lose it, who cares? It was free anyway, right? So check that out. Link popping up above. But I do want to, first off, talk about this tweet, Peter Schiff, and then we're going to talk about the death cross, and then we're going to talk about something even bigger. Stick around. He says, I must admit that I'm surprised that Bitcoin has held up this well, but don't get cocky, hodlers. The market never gives investors this much time to buy the bottom. It's more likely this is a bull trap to lure in as many more buyers as possible before the next major leg down. Wait, the market never gives this much time to buy the bottom? Wait, hold on. Can we just go back to the to this right here? Can we just see what this is really quick, guys? This right here, let's see. The market dipped November in 2018 and started pumping in April of 2019. So I think that was a pretty long amount of time to buy the bottom, but I don't know. Hey, what does Peter Schiff know? But getting on to what Wrecked Capital said. Now, this, just so you guys know, this is an amazing Twitter thread over on Twitter. I retweeted this on my Twitter. Make sure you're following me at the Crypto Zombie. I'm not going to go through all this because basically what he does is he breaks down every single time we've ever had these death crosses, what it meant, what happened. So lots of data here. Kudos to Wrecked Capital. One of the greatest threads I've read, to be honest, in this whole market cycle. But ultimately right here, this is what you need to know, okay? So he talks about the death crosses on the EMA. So in 2013, it had a 23% drop before the death cross, a 73% drop before the cross and a 70% after. So 2017, 70% before, 65% after. 2019, 53% before, 55% after. So are we noticing a pattern here? We usually tend to drop the same that we've already dropped, right? There were some exceptions right here in 2020 and 21. Maybe this is because this is when the institutions started getting involved, but he does point out if we're already down 43% pre-death cross, then does that mean we're going to be dropping 43% again? Well, if that is the case, then that would bring Bitcoin right here. You could see here's the target, okay, to 22,721, which would in fact still be holding above the 200 weekly, which is why I had said on Debate Crypto a few weeks ago that it was more likely that we see 100,000 before 20,000. I don't mean like overnight. It's just that there is a lot of buying, a lot of buyers that will step in at these levels, right? But he does go a little bit farther. If we do have a higher crash, for example, 65%, that brings Bitcoin to 18,000. And if we have the the bigger crash, the 71%, then that would actually bring Bitcoin down to $11,500. So the targets would essentially be 18,000, 13,800 actually if you go 55, 65, and 71, you'd have you'd have 18,000, 13,800, and 11,500. But just to point that out, why am I talking about this doom and gloom? This is why, guys, because there is a possibility, okay? There is a possibility that we do enter into a multi-year type of a recession where we do see the stock market crash, we do see Bitcoin crash harder, but this is going to be the greatest opportunity of our lifetimes. And don't just listen to me. I want to turn it over to Harry Dent. He is a macro economist. He is very world renowned for making some really great calls in the past. And he was over on KitGo News and he gave his opinion on what he thinks is going to happen with the markets, what he thinks is going to happen with gold. And what's actually crazy is he's very pessimistic right now, extremely pessimistic. He thinks that markets are going to get hit so hard. However, it shocked me, and this is at a gold, the first mining gold, so sponsored by gold. He's at a gold event, and yet he comes out and says why he thinks Bitcoin will replace gold. But you have to listen to this outlook, and you got to ask yourself, if what this guy is saying in this video is true, would you stick around for that? Could you? What would you do in this scenario? Check this out.
You said that Bitcoin does actually have a potentially bright long-term future, that you anticipated Bitcoin to come crashing down with all of the other assets, but ultimately you had a pretty good outlook for Bitcoin by 2037, I believe was the date you put out there. Explain that.
Okay, Bitcoin, here's the best definition I heard at a conference from another speaker, and I've stolen this line ever since. It's the digitization, cryptocurrencies are the digitization of all financial assets. Is that a big deal or not? So that's what it is.
Well, that's Bitcoin, DeFi at large, perhaps. Is that DeFi or is that Bitcoin?
No, it's DeFi, but Bitcoin, I see, when it grows and gets more acceptance, could be the standard. That everybody's talking to this conference about gold coming back means that no, gold will never be the standard. It cannot keep up with the global economy. We're in a digital economy now, and Bitcoin could become the new standard for the digital economy in the future, replacing gold in that function. So I think Bitcoin, and I've tracked this versus the dot-coms. I compare the crypto to the dot-coms in the late 90s. It wasn't just a bubble in tech stocks, it was the dot-coms, Amazon, okay? Amazon was a nothing burger and became the greatest retailer in history. So this is going to crash, and I think Bitcoin could go down to 3,000 to 7,000 and then go to 500,000 to 1 million in the next global boom. So that will be the buy of a lifetime, but I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, even down 50%, 60% here.
All right, I want to break that down a little bit. So Bitcoin goes down to around 3,000.
3,000 to 7,000, yeah.
In the next
2 years.
2 years.
In the global crash,
where
all financial assets, and Bitcoin is a new financial asset. It's like the dot-com.
But ultimately, you see Bitcoin going to $500,000.
$500,000 to $1 million.
By 2037?
Yeah, and you know what? That would be enough for it to overtake gold as a global standard for money.
When you say global standard, do you see fiat currency being pegged to a Bitcoin standard? What do you mean by that?
It could be. I mean, you have to peg to something. I mean, here's the thing. This crash, after the greatest bubble in history, when everybody took off the shackles, is going to show that you can't just print money and grow, okay? And everybody's done it. U.S. is not the worst player here. Europe and Japan are worse. When this crashes, it's going to say, we need a new standard. We need something real, and we need something for the digital realm. Gold is not that. I think gold will grow to 3,000 to 5,000 in the next boom because Indians love gold. They like it as jewelry. Indians wear jewelry in places we can't even imagine. They wear more jewelry compared to their income than anybody I've met in the world.
So Indians love gold, but the globe is going to love Bitcoin long term.
Bitcoin is going to be the new digital standard, I think, for money. And that's the standard. So other things, crypto, are innovations in finance. But I think Bitcoin becomes the global standard. It's not there yet. It's not big enough. It's not widely accepted. And I think it'll crash the most. I think Bitcoin, like I said, 4,000 to 7,000 from 69. That'll crash more than stocks. That's what I would. If we have this crash, I'm predicting in the next 2 years, the number one thing I'd buy would be Bitcoin or Ethereum coming out of it.
Number one thing you'd buy Bitcoin and
That's
Ethereum.
the next new wave, like the dot-coms, like Amazon were in the 2000-2002 crash.
Okay.
You know, Amazon went from 6 to 136 in 2 years and back to $6. That would have been the buy of your lifetime back in 2002.
So would you guys actually be willing to wait 15 years? I would be in my 50s in 15 years, just to point that out, guys. I'm an old guy. I'm an old guy over here. But, could I wait that long to have a 500,000 to 1 million or more than $1 million Bitcoin? And he's also saying that he thinks the worst of it will be over by 2024. So essentially, if you're new, you just got into crypto. Well, we didn't get rich overnight, guys. But you know what? I didn't get rich overnight either. In 2017, I bought, all the way up. And then we had the big crash in 2018. And I didn't take any profits. I held it all the way up and I held it all the way down. Now, this time around, I have taken some profits here and there. I don't really take profits at specific levels, just if we have a big pump, put a little bit in cash. You know, I've been building my backyard, doing a lot of renovation, and then I still dollar cost average in the background. So before we get on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, if you want to know what my strategy is and what I will be doing over the next 2 years if we do have this catastrophic dump, no, I will not be selling my Bitcoin. I will be dollar cost averaging in Bitcoin. I will be dollar cost averaging every single week like I have been for the past 6 years. But what I'm also going to be doing is building up a cash position, right? So, you know, if you get your paycheck at the end of the week, what you do, and not financial advice, but this is what I do, you know, you put 10% or 20% into Bitcoin, right? You know, and then you keep the rest in cash. I mean, you need some money to live, right? So let's say that you have 10% of your expenses that you can actually allocate to savings or investments, right? Well, my strategy is just 50-50. So if you can allocate 10% of, you know, your income, your check that you get every week, and you can only do 10%, do 5% Bitcoin and 5% in a savings account in a bank, forget about it. Now, I know it's not going to do anything, inflation, you're going to lose your value, fine. But if we do go into a recession, you're probably not going to lose as much as you would Bitcoin, right? Or you could do treasury bonds if you want to. And that's my thing, because if these guys are wrong, if we don't actually get this dump, if we don't get this recession, well then great, I've been dollar cost averaging Bitcoin and I have my Bitcoin still. But if by chance they are correct and my Bitcoin does lose another 70% value, like Rec Capital said it could happen, going down to these crazy numbers, 11,000 or like he said, 3,000 to 7,000, well then guess what? I have a cash position on the side and I can buy that generational bottom with $3,000 Bitcoin. I mean, guys, considering that he's saying in 15 years we're going to see 500,000 to $1 million, you have to think about the risk versus reward, and you can't just have your eyes set on what's going to happen tomorrow for Bitcoin, right? So that is something extremely important. Excellent video from Kitco News. I really enjoyed this perspective, and you have to look at what's happening, right? It seems very bearish on the surface, but look at this. Julius Baer Group, a Swiss private bank, will begin offering Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency products to high net worth individuals. Julius Baer explained, we are likely witnessing a bubble similar to the dot-com burst which birthed a new industry. The bank originally partnered with cryptocurrency bank SEBA in 2019 as institutions became more familiarized with the industry. So you're still seeing the demand. You're still seeing people, you know, like Michael Saylor, for example. I know we've talked about him plenty of times on the channel, but he says also that he believes Bitcoin will surpass $1 million and become the currency of the future. He says there is no price goal. I anticipate that we will forever purchase Bitcoin at the local peak, and I anticipate Bitcoin to go into the millions. So we are really patient. We believe that it is the future of money. And like we know, no matter what these guys are doing, no matter what the Fed does, they cannot stop it. Inflation is inevitable and the damage has already been done. Unfortunately, what we do need is a hard reset, and we may just get that. And you and I may go through this together. I'm not particularly excited about it if it does happen, but you know, I've never lived through a recession, or at least I wasn't old enough to appreciate what it was. 2008, all I cared about was partying in college. I didn't care about what was going on in the world, you know what I mean? So this will be a great learning experience, and we will come out of this alive. Bitcoin will come out prosperous. And if you can just hunker down for the next 2 years, dollar cost average, you know, look, anything could change, right? They could turn dovish tomorrow and then boom, we're off to the races, which is why I don't sell my Bitcoin hodl position. But just hear me out. What if all of this does happen and it just sucks for the next 2 years, right? But think about what you will be setting yourself up for. That generational transfer of wealth. Think about what your kids and your grandkids will have because of the decisions that we make during these tough times, right? It's so important to pay attention. He also said the fact that the majority of cryptocurrencies are not registered securities creates a barrier that can deter potential investors, right? Now, just to point that out right here, this is why we're seeing a lot of this Bitcoin dominance coming up here, right? So obviously you can see, and I haven't changed this chart in years. We drew this chart years ago. Back in 2018, we started this trend. Look at that. And as soon as we lost it right here, that's when we knew it was time to start getting into the altcoins. Now, right now, we're having a strong bottoming out on this upward sloping trend, and you are going to see a lot of that capital move potentially into Bitcoin, right? So I'm not saying don't buy altcoins. I've seen altcoins have 100x rallies in bear markets. It is possible, but the majority of the altcoins are not going to do that compared to Bitcoin. So, maybe you can find a gem. I'll try to, if I find some stuff, I'll make an attempt. But like I said, it is very, very risky times for altcoins. Even if I talk about an altcoin, you have to understand that it's a risky play for me. 1 to 2% of my capital. And if I lose it, I lose it. That's how I play it. Okay. If you want to go all in, that's on you guys. But you can see right here, a lot of these are going to end up being classified as securities. The US is going to come in with this regulation, especially after what just happened with Terra Luna. And you can see right here, the CFTC chair says that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities for regulatory purposes. So no, they're not going to ban Bitcoin. They're going to embrace it. They're going to treat it like a commodity or property. They're going to tax it. He says, I could say for sure Bitcoin, which is the largest of the coins and has always been the largest, regardless of the total market cap, is in fact a commodity. So Ether as well, I've argued this before, he says is also a commodity. So there may be in fact hundreds, if not thousands of security coins, but there are plenty of commodity coins. And I think it makes sense, as we've done historically, to make sure that each agency has jurisdiction over commodities and securities respectively, right? So Bitcoin is in fact a commodity, which is also why when the big money comes in, because we haven't seen the big money, people say, oh, the institutions are in. Some of them are in. So many of them have yet to even jump in or even put their toes in the water just yet. But interestingly enough, what is happening? Retail is leaving the building. You're not leaving the building because you're smart, but most retail has left the building. They're going to throw away the potential greatest life-changing opportunity ever just because they lost a few percentages and they bought the top. Oh my goodness, it's been 6 months and I'm not a freaking multi-millionaire. Get over yourself. Key Young Jew of CryptoQuant notes that 76% of the trading volume at Coinbase came from institutional investors in the first quarter. 76% came from institutional investors. And think about it. If you're selling Bitcoin on the spot exchange, someone's buying it, right? You're filling a bid or an ask, or flip it around. You know what I mean, guys. You're filling the buyer's market order, okay? So retail investors are leaving the crypto market. Not bad for accumulating Bitcoin with institutions, but still worried about overall volume. He says institutional investors have likely been buying Bitcoin from market makers, especially, for example, when Luna decided to dump their $84,000 worth of Bitcoin on the market, which was a lot of Bitcoin to be dumped all at once. We don't know if they've officially sold it all, if they're just still peeling it off slowly. But at the end of the day, the markets absorbed that pretty well. We had a wick down to 25,000, and essentially within 2 days, we're back above $30,000. You can say what you want about a bear market, but that is some buying pressure right there. That is some demand, right? So ultimately, as I said, the key area is to not fall below this 200 weekly, which we do know that, as time goes by, it is going to move up. And I did have this out on the chart here. We looked at the distance right here of this bear. And if we actually look at this right here, we could be potentially back to the same levels, before we fell there sometime in November, which could say that that we could see the worst part of the crash during the summer and fall. And then as we go into winter, right around November, we could see Bitcoin recovering again back to the $40,000 level, okay? So we may have a rough year ahead of us, but just think about that opportunity. That's really all I wanted to drill in your head today, guys. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. What is going on with Bitcoin? Okay, we are falling out of this. So yeah, we're going to go back down to the support right here, okay? This support right here is around 29,242 with the next level of support right here around 28,637. And yeah, we definitely don't want to wick below 26,645. So this is obviously a lower time frame play. Actually at this point, to be honest with you, if we do actually come down to this level and have a bounce, then what I am going to do, and we're doing this on the 4 hour. That's why I don't really like the 4 hour, but then essentially now, what you're doing is you're putting in probably what looks to be like a descending triangle, something like this, or if you want, maybe you adjust this down to these levels or something like that. I don't really know, guys. It could just be a triangle like this. I mean, it really doesn't matter. We're having a consolidation either way. So if I do drag these lines out a little bit farther, then, we might just touch this live right now, actually, while I'm making this video. But ultimately, like I said, this is obviously, now we're going to come down, probably hit these levels. And, hopefully we bounce around a little more, but it depends on what stocks do. I mean, if the stocks actually tank hard, then, we're putting in a bear pennant right here. It's a giant bear pennant. and then we're going to fall down to probably the $26,000 level again. So yeah, that's essentially what's going on, guys. But we could trade the charts all day. You could trade the chop. But what it really is about that macro view, right? Looking at these daily price actions all the time, it's like, so we're zoomed in on the 4 hour, right? But, let me go back here. Let me zoom out. Let me go to the monthly, just to put this into perspective. Oops, what did I just do? Had my drawing tool on. Look at this, guys. So, if I get everything out of here, this is what we're freaking out about up here. Look at this thing. So it is what it is, guys. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, a lot of it does have to do with what the S&P is doing. The S&P is putting in a giant red candle, not as big as this day, but yeah. So at the end of the day, I hope you guys got some value out of this video. Like I said, the short-term TA, it's kind of whatever right now. We really just need to look at the macro picture. There's a lot going on globally. So at the end of the day, guys, that is it for me. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos in the first place. I love you. You're awesome. Make sure you watch these videos popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.